You know, Mark Foley was a Florida state senator when he ran for Congress back in 1994. He won that race in part, and also the Republicans took over the House back in 1994 because of Mark's opposition and also the entire opposition of the Republican caucus to Hillary Care. 19 years later, he joins us live on the set to talk about Obamacare. Boy, you think back to those times, we were just discussing this, 20 years in kind of like a similar situation. I know the Republicans, indeed, in this coming election cycle, will be talking about their opposition to Obamacare.
No question, deja vu.
The news this week was the Obamacare fix. Republican Fred Upton, the congressman from Michigan, talking about ways to improve health care, saying, you know, let's make sure that people don't have their insurance policies taken away, their health care policies. 39 Democrats joined the Republicans in that action. Your thoughts about that bill?
Huge defection, but that's political survival. That's rats getting off a sinking ship.
Right.
And they're running for cover. Sadly, it undermines entirely the president's bill. It really does destruct and destroy the president's bill. I give him credit for doing that because it is a disaster, but politically, it shows the president's vulnerability. Nancy Pelosi lost an inordinate amount of Democrats to support Republicans, and it is a setup, if you will, for a confrontational 2014 election.
Let's talk about the bill itself, though. The president is basically saying these insurance agents, they need to be more accountable, that there needs to be more regulation, that there needs to be, you know, caps on catastrophic care and premiums, and that the Republicans are saying it's more important, though, that people can get policies that may be at a lower cost. Your thoughts about really the implementation of the bill and really what's inside the bill?
Well, first and foremost, 40 million were uninsured. Most of the people signing up in the Affordable Care Act are enrolling in Medicaid. Medicaid was available before this bill was passed, so they could have found a way to insure those people. The other thing is, I have what's called that catastrophic policy myself, where you're able to pay a premium. You do have a $5,000 deductible. Those are things that I think make more efficient the healthcare delivery system. So there's a lot of things that are confusing. That's the biggest problem. 2,000-page bill to try and insure 40 million people. Most members of Congress, I assure you, did not read the bill. That's why after it passed, people like Congressman Ron Klein refused to hold town hall meetings. The public wanted to know, what does this bill do to my health care policy? The president said, nothing. You're going to get to keep it. Ron Klein and members of Congress refused to go to public hearings because they could not explain what's in 2,000 pages. Nancy Pelosi famously said, we'll have to pass it to find out what's in it. That's scary stuff. And when you're dealing with this large a part of the federal economy, when the federal government has such a lousy track record, if I had a suggestion, I'd say give everybody the Blue Cross Blue Shield policy members of Congress have, and we'd solve the problem overnight. But certainly don't turn it over to the IRS.
4 Republicans, though, also, Mark, voted against the bill, saying they don't want Obamacare to improve at all. Is that kind of mindset, you think, destructive to your party?
I think it's destructive when people simply vote against a proposal because they don't like the person who supports it. And I don't believe that's everybody in the Republican Party, but we do have to start thinking about how to care for people in a compassionate way. And when people simply vote no and have no answer, no response, and their only idea is the federal government's lousy, that's a horrible situation. I love the federal government. I have no bones about it. I think we do a lot of things wonderfully well. Head Start, Meals on Wheels, they're things we have supported, Republicans and Democrats alike. So it's more a collective. We've got to think, how do you continually improve people's lives? It's not that complicated.
You know, when people talk about the website, healthcare.gov, there seems to be some incremental improvements to the website. Not much.
I was going to say.
But talk about that a little bit as far as what you're hearing from some of the people that you know, try to get on the site. And at some point, do you think that the president says it's more than just a website? Is that a fair statement?
Well, it is more than just a website. The concept is humanistic, if you will, trying to figure out people's problems. But the website is the critical driver to get people into the system. If it doesn't work, it will not help. So, you know, despite its best efforts, the system is flawed. Now, any commerce site that was similarly situated to this federal government website that crashed immediately, I mean, you know, Saturday Night Live says 6 people got in. They did it as a joke the week before. At the end of the week, 6 people got in. I mean, life imitating art. But the system has to work. So the president can't say, oh, don't worry about the website. You can register on paper. Well, that doesn't work either. Where's the paper going? Who's filing the paper? Is it in some vault? How does it interact? How does it read what the IRS data is supposed to do to interpret whether you pay a subsidy or not? It's so convoluted and confusing that it may absolutely destroy healthcare. Doctors are abandoning their practices because they know they're not going to get paid. Hospitals are discharging patients, particularly the poor in Palm Beach County. Healthcare taxing district keeps saying, oh, the federal government's going to pay for it. Why do I have to worry? So you're discharging people prematurely. They're getting sicker out in the community. There are so many problems here, Rick. It would take us 3 hours to talk about just the nuance of this program.
All right, healthcare.gov. This is an important time, obviously, for the implementation because people need to be signed up by December 15th if they want their insurance to kick in January 1. Mark Foley, thank you very much for being on the set and talking about some of these issues. Healthcare, obviously, such a huge issue right now, and we'll be discussing it right here on CBS 12 in the weeks and months to come.